Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for your goodness and your mercy. We thank you for a nice day. Lord, we thank you for a beautiful town of Shafter and for the decisions that are made here. And Lord, we pray, Lord, that we would hold up these decisions, Lord, with a lot of wisdom. And we thank you for your goodness and your mercy. In your name we pray, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, moving on to approval of the agenda.
No changes? Staff? Make a motion to approve as read?
Second.
Yes or no?
Honorable Mayor, we are recommending that you move into closed session to handle items 1 and 2 on the closed session agenda, just prior to going into management reports, and just after the city council announcements and reports.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to move closed session item number 1 and number 2 prior to management reports 1, 2, and 3, and then recess again afterwards and go into closed session item number 3 when we're done.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Givens and second by Councilmember Proud.
Councilmember Givens?
Aye.
Lopez?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Proud?
Yes.
And Alvarado?
Yes. All right. Moving on to public comments. Those persons wishing to speak on any item included on the agenda or on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council are invited to speak from the podium and address the city council. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is needed for translations. Please state your name and address for the record before making your presentation. Public comments is open. Anyone wish to address the council may approach the podium. Okay, seeing none, public comments is closed. Moving on to consent calendar. We want to take a look at the consent calendars from 1 through 10. And may I get a motion, please?
Yeah, approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Proud, second by Councilmember Givens.
Councilmember Givens?
Aye.
Lopez?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Proud?
Yes.
And Alvarado?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Moving on to council announcements and reports. We'll start with Councilmember Proud.
Okay, I have a few items. One I wanted to talk about first has to do with AB 617, and as you know, we've been meeting for 14 months already as a steering committee. And this time they had a meeting on the 13th of February to have the CARB, the California Air Resources Board, come before us and take action on the plan that we worked through to get to this point. And so there was a lot of input and presentations from various people that were present. And so for some of you that don't know, the CARB is the CERT, which stands for, oh gosh, I always have to, it's a Community Emission Reduction Program. And so it will now start to be implemented, which will be almost as tough as trying to get the plan. But at least we, as one of the first projects with Southwest Fresno, has an opportunity now to get some additional funding that will help us and see what kind of issues we have in the air and how we might make it better for not just this area, but continue throughout the valley that they have already identified. And then on Saturday, the Minter Field Air Museum had their next annual Founders Day banquet, and I'm going to pass these down because I want you to know that the attendance was really good, as it usually is. The speaker, and you'll read about the speaker in the middle, he was really outstanding. He gave a lot of stories. He flew in Vietnam, and he's flown and tested at least 40 planes. Really pretty interesting guy. He didn't seem to hold back from telling any of his stories and some of the issues that he dealt with, not just in Vietnam, but even when he retired from there and he came back and he went to work for Howard Hughes Aircraft. Interesting stories that he told about working with Howard Hughes, and then he wrote some books. And I didn't purchase any books that were there, but if you're interested, they are listed in there, and you can certainly find them if you're interested in aviation, because now that Howard Hughes is gone, I think he feels a lot better about writing the story because he did tell about a lot of incidents that happened to him, so. But he was very interesting. He did recognize Shafter specifically because we supported the Air Museum for so many years in order to build the support that they needed out in the Mitterfield Airport area, and I thought that was very special. Also, they recognized Major General Jim Whitehead, who is retiring to be closer to his family in Arizona, and so he was recognized too. And then also, they had tables, and tables were sponsored by various groups, and Walmart had one of them. They were very excited to be there. They have, since they've started building out here, toured the museum out there, they toured the Depot Museum here, and they've also been to the Green Hotel Museum. So they were excited to be there, and I had a chance to talk to all of them. And had some of their visitors. One came from Ohio, one came from Nevada. I mean, they've got people coming in now. You know, they're employing 400 people. So it'll be pretty exciting this next month of March when they start to really operate out there. And I know we'll get a chance to go out and visit. So look forward to that. But it was a fun evening. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Garcia.
This weekend, the school was on a three-day holiday, but the weekend before that, I went to Gilroy to visit the city and was really, really impressed with the way the city looked, and just pleased to see how the downtown area and even some of the high schools that I walked was nice, just to see that nice city. So.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Gibbons.
You know, not a whole lot. Decided to leave the country for about a week. Went on a nice cruise and did not come back with the corn.
Where'd you go?
That I know of, but I made sure I touched everything before we sat down, so we're good. No, so it was busy, but not here in Shafter for me. It's first time I've ever been on a cruise, and first time the girls have ever done it, so it was really nice. Nice to get away. That was it.
Do you recommend it?
I do. We're already planning next year's at this point. It's the first time for me, and we'll definitely keep this going. Albeit, as long as nothing crazy happens that's happening right now and the weather permits. But yeah.
Put that on my bucket list. Mayor Pro Tem Lopez?
I have nothing to say.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have nothing to report as well. So we'll go ahead and move on to city manager comments and reports.
Just a couple items to take note of tonight. Thursday, March 5th is the Kerncog Regional Awards Banquet. That's at 7 Oaks Country Club at 5:30 p.m. At this point, hopefully you've already made reservations for that. And then the other item is Wednesday, March 11th is the Kern County Economic Summit at the Doubletree Hotel in Bakersfield. That's at 7 a.m. The city does have a table, and we do have room at that table. So if you're interested in going to that, please let the city clerk know, and she'll make sure to put you down.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, we'll make a motion to go into closed sessions for number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is the public employee appointment, and number 2, the conference with labor negotiator.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Gibbons, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Closed session. We'll be back.
Is to run 3 years through March 16th, 2023. Of course, the agreement may be extended by mutual consent. The salary for this position is $215,000 per year. Increases are at the sole discretion of the city council and subject to satisfactory performance. Benefits including enrollment in CalPERS, the same medical, dental, sick leave, and life insurance benefits provided to city department heads. Mr. Gonzalez will receive 160 hours of paid vacation / management leave, a 40-hour one-time bank of leave accrual at the initiation of the contract, $400 per month in vehicle allowance, a $100 per month cell phone allowance, and up to $2,000 in moving expenses to be reimbursed based on actual receipts. As far as termination and severance provisions, the employment agreement provides that it may be terminated by either party. However, if terminated by the city without cause, Mr. Gonzalez will receive a 6-month severance payment upon execution of a waiver and a release form. Other aspects of the employment agreement are fairly standard. Mr. Gonzalez's current agreement with the city of Gilroy contains a 30-day notice provision. Thus, he will begin his duties as the city manager in chapter on March 19th, 2020. I will make note there was one correction to the proposed contract, or the draft contract included in the agenda package, and that's on page 7 under number 9A1, termination city council vote, where it says that the city manager may not be removed within 3 months of the date of initial appointment or 60 days from the date of a municipal election. And that 60 days needs to be changed to 120 days in order to remain consistent with the city's charter. Other than that, there's no other changes to the contract as drafted, and it is before you tonight for your consideration of approval.
Okay, is any questions from council? Any questions? Okay. Do I open it up for,
It's up to the council if you'd like to,
for Gabriel?
if you'd like to.
Okay, Gabriel, Mr. Gonzalez, do you have any questions of the contract?
Not regarding the contract.
Okay. All right, all right, no questions, so may I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lopez and second by Councilmember Garcia.
Councilmember Givens,
Aye.
Lopez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Kraft,
No.
Alvarado.
Yes. Okay, moving on to number 2, active city manager employment contract extension.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Presented for your consideration is an amendment to the current acting city manager's employment agreement to do 2 things. It will extend the agreement because it actually expires February the 20th, and based on your just now made action for the appointment of city manager, the new city manager is not going to start until March the 19th, so we need to extend it. The other thing it does is it treats the acting city manager's performance in the same way that other department heads have, and made him eligible for a performance bonus, both in consideration of the work that he did in running the city while we had no city manager, and also for agreeing to extend the contract. That's a one-time $5,000 performance that is included in the amendment. So that is what is before you. It's only an amendment that does those 2 things. The rest of the terms remain the same. If you notice that we extended the term to April the 21st, 2020, but the current agreement says that it's actually an earlier time if the new city manager starts earlier than April the 21st.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from council?
No questions?
Nope.
May I get a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve as read.
We have a motion by Councilmember Givens, second by Councilmember Prout.
Councilmember Givens,
Aye.
Lopez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Kraft,
Yeah.
and Alvarado.
Yes. Moving on to number 3, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Funding Agreement for Shafter Aquatic Center Improvement CD.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, the city, as you probably know, receives a federal community development block grant funding allocation on an annual basis, made payable through an agreement with the County of Kern. These funds construct or participate in small scale, relatively small scale, but effective community enhancement projects. One project we're looking to use for CDBG funding involves improvements at the Aquatic Center. The project was originally approved for an application, more than 2 years ago.
For quite some time.
Yeah, so, since then, well, originally, the project scope included, resurfacing the pool deck, ADA accessibility improvements, and, a shaded picnic area, similar to what you see, at Menlo Park. But since then, the project has had to been downsized because of, reduced, funding allocation that the county made us aware of. Typically, we're used to seeing about 120,000 for the various factors that are out of our control. That allocation is 83,000. So we decided to focus the project solely on the covered picnic area, just to stay within that allocation. And quite frankly, having something that has a narrow scope of work is a lot easier to bid. We weren't too sure if we wanted to bring together a pool plaster, concrete foundation contractor. It was going to be harder to manage and put out the bid and get favorable bid results, quite frankly. So, the county recently prepared a funding agreement for this project, and it's unattached, but it is on file with the city clerk. It is the typical of all the county agreements that we get for these types of projects, and it has been reviewed by the city attorney, and the terms specific to this project are agreeable to staff, including the 83,000 in funding, and the balance of the cost, which could take the project to about 150,000, would include design, bidding, engineering support services, most of which we think we can perform in-house. But nonetheless, the project was not covered in this year's fiscal year budget because we weren't exactly sure when we were getting the funding agreement. But so in order to fully fund the project, the budget amendment is outlined in the second sheet of your staff report. We have the 83,000 in federal funding, and then also the general fund funds to allocate towards the project. So with that, we're requesting approval of the agreement and authorization for the city manager to sign the agreement and return it to the county so we can proceed with the project.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from council?
I do have. We also applied for the Prop 68 for the pool,
Correct.
haven't we?
That's correct, and there's, I think as we discussed at the last council meeting, we have active applications that literally cover all of the parks, and including the aquatic center, and we have not received the status of those applications. And I will tell you that the state is aware of the terminated pool operations agreement, so that might play into their decision whether or not to fund that particular project.
Oh, that's not good.
Because until we have an active, valid operations agreement, we're not sure exactly, if it's practical to apply it.
Because I wondered how this might affect if we were to qualify or not qualify on the Prop 68.
They are aware of the status of that agreement, and we don't know until we find out. So, yeah, there was $4 million for the building, the new building. Now, what you're looking to approve tonight would be the exterior of the facility. Not included, that wasn't factored into the Prop 68 application.
Anyone else? Any questions?
No.
Okay. May I get a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve as read.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Gibbons and a second by Councilmember Garcia.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Aye.
Lopez?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Trout?
Yes.
And Alvarado?
Yes. Moving on to department comments and reports.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shaft City Council, speaking on behalf of Public Works, I have a brief update on a couple of projects. Regarding water conservation, for the past month of January, we used slightly more water, produced slightly more water than we did the same month for the base year of 2013, which is pretty typical. There's not a lot of opportunities to conserve water, and particularly when you had such a dry month like January, and February is looking just as dry. But I will say, looking ahead, we're looking to start the summer watering schedule, and we're looking to be very active with water meter installations, in particular this year. And I see Mr. Colbart in the audience. We had a chance to speak earlier tonight about the proper procedures that we need to implement moving forward. Once we do convert flat customers to metered, we're going to shoot for at least 2 or 3 months of consumption data, so the customer has the benefit of that data, and so they can plan ahead before they ultimately go live with metered billing. And moving on to projects at the well 16, the well that we were had some corrosion and deposits inside the well casing. That well is back online, and we're hoping to avoid the similar problems by doing more routine inspections, probably on a minimum of an annual basis. So hopefully that'll remedy the issue and limit its downtime. And then the new well, number 20, located behind Dad's Barbecue, PG&E was able to service that well with electricity. We did some test runs, and now we just have to await a clean bill of health with the water quality data. We sampled the well this week, I believe, so we're assuming that everything comes in like we expect, that well will be up and running in the spring. Then finally, on street projects, I believe the shoulder improvements along Highway 43 have been completed, and hopefully that'll make the shoulder a little easier to walk on and drive on, at least for the next few years until we can figure out some permanent street improvements for the residents there.
I have a question on that shoulder on 43. Is there semis allowed to park on there, on that shoulder?
There shouldn't be.
Okay. I think I see a semi parked there.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
To go in the store or to?
No, it's just like resting
On the side.
on the side.
Wasn't a work truck or anything, or?
No.
Okay, just wanna make sure, because they were literally wrapping that up today.
No, it was a tractor.
Okay, good, thank you.
So I have one question. So we're not gonna ever have cement, concrete there, right? Is that something that,
Well, actually, we hope to, but,
Okay.
as you recall, we, performed a topography study of, the side streets and as well as Highway 43. And so you need that topography data to do an effective design, to make sure, you don't have any obstacles and to make sure everything's gonna drain properly, once you build those street improvements. So the intent, is to construct curb gutter sidewalk, to have it drain better and also provide, immediate access to the core city for those who choose to walk.
Any other department?
Just briefly, the property that the city acquired from the Wilsons, just behind North Park, North Shafter, is there. I drove by today. They're in the process of relocating those filters onto the Wilsons adjacent parcel. Once that's done, we have in contact with the company to get the vines pushed over and get that property clean. So we know it's looking a little out of hand at the moment. That will be cleaned up as soon as that. We have to wait until the filtration system and the piping is moved before we can do that, but it's coming.
thank you.
Chief? Good. Wayne? Good, okay. All right, at this time, we ask Mr. Gonzalez to come up and just share a word or two.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, Council members. Just want to thank you, Jim and Marco, and the rest of the staff for welcoming. I know it was a process. I'm very much humbled by this opportunity, and very much excited, enthusiastic about the opportunity of coming on board. Shafter is a great community. I feel like I'm coming back to my birthplace of my career. 25 years ago, I started my career from a small city not too far from here, city of Arvin. And so coming back to Shafter, Kern County, I feel like it's coming back home. So I welcome that. I believe that Shafter is primed for to capitalize on many great opportunities. The downtown, the distribution center, great community, education, fiber optics, rail, all of those foundational, monumental, a foundation that is what needed for economic development. I think you as a council have done a great job. The city's financially sustainable, which is key for economic development. Your focus on economic development to bring in jobs and diversify your revenue. Education is a key point. So I believe coming on board is a great opportunity for me to team with you, the staff, the community, and to continue to make Shafter that model city that other cities want to be when they grow up. So I look forward to coming on board and working with you, the staff, and the rest of the community. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, may I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Givens, second by Councilmember Garcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Or adjourn.